Prosperity. In the shadows we find our light. Through the struggles we will take flight. Healing hearts and mending minds. Together we'll leave the past behind. Welcome to Prosperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Oh yeah. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Trauma whispers, but love will shout. In this space of trust, there's no doubt. We'll explore the depths of pain and grace, finding strength in every embrace. Welcome to Prosperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Take a breath and join the ride. Together we'll walk side by side with open hearts and open minds. In this podcast space, true peace we'll find. Welcome to Prosperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Prosperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma. Prosperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma. Prosperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma.
Hello, everybody. Yes, we have a fresh new face today. Young face. The first ever young guest. And I'm excited about it. So let's start this off. Welcome back to Prosperity episode. Can you believe we're on episode 41? Today we're diving into a powerful topic: my voice, my power. Understanding versus being understood. We all have a voice, but how do you use it effectively, especially in a world that can be loud and confusing? Joining me today is an incredible young man who's already navigating his own life. At just 15 years old, Kingston McLean is here to share his perspective. We'll be talking about what it's like to be a part of Gen Z and how his generation is finding and using their voices to make a difference. This is a conversation you won't want to miss. So open your heart, ears, and eyes and just listen. Let's jump in. So Kingston, before we get into these questions, anything you want to share about yourself? What's going on?
Hey, I'm having a great day today. It's been good so far. I've been excited all day about it, and I just can't wait to see what kind of questions you have for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to ask the questions, but first, shout out to you. The word yesterday at church. I'm telling you take over Sunday. I'm telling you, he took that sermon and he did the thing. I always
Thank
call
you.
him Pastor Deacon Kingston, sir, because he brings he is way beyond the years.
I try to bring the heat every time. I try to
Yes,
bring the heat.
he does. Boy, it was short, man. I mean, look, y'all. Shout out to his photo also on the flyer. What his mom said to me. I said that boy's short. He's short. But all right, we're gonna get into some of these questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Welcome. So when you hear my voice, my power, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Man, the first thing that comes to my mind:
Mhm.
who am I? My voice, my power. Who am I? And what am I saying? And how am I saying it? Am I saying it to impact? Am I saying it in a meaningful way? What am I saying? And who am I when I'm saying it?
Okay, I like that. Next question. Let's get real. Do you feel like it's harder to understand others or to get others to understand you?
Definitely, sometimes I think it's hard. I think it's harder to understand other people sometimes because, and especially in a time like this where others don't see things the way that I see it. And I'm not trying to put myself above anybody else or above anything else. But at the same time, I just feel like that some people may have a different thinking process. And so when I'm trying to understand or for others to understand me, I have to kind of go down. Not I don't want to say go down to that level like that, but like try to get them to understand me basically. And yes, I do think it's harder every once in a while because they might not just look at things like how I look at them, or I might not look at things how they look at them. So definitely.
That's a really good perspective because sometimes, like, even when you're not like, you're young or just in general, people tend to not have a length of understanding, and I think it comes from them not, knowing themselves a lot of times how to respond and how to react and everything. And instead of just being just they call it transparent, they just come off like, yeah, I don't know, or hey, like they just brush you off. So that's a great point of view with that. All right, transitioning to another question. Have you ever had a moment where you couldn't get someone to see your side of things no matter what you said?
100%. And sometimes it could be like I'm at school, I'm at the church. Sometimes I'm even at home and I can't get like my siblings or my parents to see the side that I'm seeing or the side or the perspective that I'm seeing. Um, and it doesn't happen frequently. Most of the time, my parents understand the level of thinking that I like when I'm thinking. They understand the level. They understand where I go when I'm thinking. So they say something, and they'll be like, "What are you thinking about?" And I just really never know like how to respond to that. But at the same time, they know what I'm thinking about. Especially if they say something, and I'm just like pondering for a while. But especially when it comes to perspectives, it is hard for me to understand other people's perspective when it comes to certain situations, and it's hard for me to see. It's hard for them to see my perspective when it comes to certain situations. So
That's deep. Like, do you ever feel like, because you're very mature, because you're 15, right?
yes,
At 15, you are very intelligent and you articulate yourself very well. So it's like,
thank you.
um, sometimes, is that a challenge for your parents?
Yes, it is, and honestly, and they get. I was gonna get upset about it sometimes, but like, um, you know, they'll go somewhere and they'll be like, oh my, the people be like, oh my goodness, I love Kingston. Oh my goodness, I love Kingston. It was like, so like when they go to church with them and they come back, it was like, oh yeah, this person asked about you, like, oh Kingston's so great, Kingston's so this, and so it's like I think that sometimes it is a challenge for them. Some not a challenge, but I think that it may be like some like I don't know how to put it, but I think that like sometimes they yeah.
It's sometimes when you have somebody that is very, different, they're bright and it's at that young age. I get it. Your parents are like, okay, I know my son is awesome, but hold up, slow down. That's my baby. That's what I think they're trying to say. Rather than just like, oh my gosh, like Kingston, chill. I think it's like this is my baby. And you are the baby, right?
I
You
am,
baby of all the siblings.
unfortunately, but you know,
Yeah.
but I also think that that's what my mom thinks as well. Like that it's my like he like and he's still my baby. He's still my itty bitty baby. Like, and I think my mom is still in that he's still my baby phase, and my dad is like, well, he is starting to get older, and but my mom is she's still stuck in that I don't want you to grow anymore phase. But my dad has kind of transitioned out of that phase a little bit. So it's it's just been a lot going on these past couple of weeks with everything, especially because of last yesterday, because Sunday, and so it's really just brought some things to light about my parents and I said our relationship and stuff like that, and so you know
That's good. You got a good set of parents there. Just saying. They are
I
awesome.
could tell yeah they are. I'm honored to have them as parents. So
Good. I mean, it shows because I mean you're brilliant. So they're doing a lot. It's great. Just all of you are. Every one of your siblings. I haven't met all of them, but I've met a few. And shout out to Tamari. I hope you watching. You're awesome too. I'm gonna get you on as a guest on the podcast and reel you in slower and slower. Um, You have a comment here from Karen Hannah says, "Good evening, Kingston and
Hey,
Destiny."
Miss Hannah, how are you?
You also have a comment from Sergio James. Allow God to show you how to use it. A lot of wisdom to humble you. Still learn how to have fun, even though you're more aware of different things than other people.
That's a great comment, and that's that was a lot. And I think, and um, it's, I don't know how to say it. It's just that
Take your
and
time. It's okay.
one thing I try not to do is try to get too arrogant.
Okay.
And I feel like that it's good having parents that can humble me. If I did. And my parents, they won't just keep saying, "Oh yeah, good job," but they're also there to humble me, to like tell me that, like, hey, you did this or you did that. They aren't just like, I don't say they aren't supportive all the time, but they are just, um, but they know, and they know, and when I say they know, it's like they know when to humble me, and they know that, like, hey, I'm doing too much, or hey, I need to chill out, and so, or hey, you like, and it happens at the church a lot sometimes, and they're like, hey, it's time for you to settle down, or hey, it's time for you to do this, time for you to do that, and so, and that's just one thing that they've always done. They also have to keep me humble and keep me with using wisdom and not just just using wisdom.
That's really. Do you ever feel at times with so much of that what they poured into you, and then being exposed to just being around the the older generation and all of that, do you ever feel at times that it takes you away from your generation? Do you feel like you
Um,
prefer that?
sometimes. Sometimes, but honestly, my family, they think I'm an old man, and and I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with it, and I'd rather be someone that people look up to than someone who they don't at all. So I'd rather be like someone. Oh yeah, Kingston has wisdom, or he walks with a certain poise, or he does this, or he does that, and I'd rather be someone who does that than be someone who doesn't do anything, or but doesn't be able to lead people, or be able to walk or help them or have wisdom with them. So I'm okay with being always being with the older generation. I'm always and my parents tell me this all the time: stay out of grown folks' business, or get out of here, or walk away, or stuff like that. But it's just like, and it's like sometimes, and it's hard for me to be with other youth sometimes because they don't, you know. Even if you know anything about me, I like the old school gospel music, and so I like to stomp, clap the good old, all of that. And so at times it's kind of hard because, like, we'll pick a song for choir, and they trying to pick like a Maverick City song. I'm trying to go way back to, like, but but sometimes it is harder, and sometimes I do prefer to be with the older generation sometimes because I'm learning things with them. Rather being from always the young generation, we're all learning at the same time, and it's like, but if I'm with them, I can learn with them and learn from them, and that's in that situation.
That's good. How do you see yourself using that in the future as you're 15, so in a couple years from now, of course, you'll be 18. How do you see that being a benefit to you when you are 18?
I just think that it will. That's a great question. I just think that it will help me. Maybe, I don't know. I think that it will allow me to see other situations differently, or be able to walk in somewhere knowing that I got this, or you know, knowing that, like, to just use wisdom in situations instead of just following my brain or following my heart, but use wisdom because sometimes you have to use wisdom. And my parents have allowed me to see things. My parents were the parents that said, no, you can't see the light bill, you can't see the bill, you can't see this and that. So they're always like, yeah, you can see it, or yeah, no, you can't touch the what's it called, the tab at the restaurant. They always allowed me to do this. They always allowed me to do things, to see things from a different perspective, and I've always valued that because I was just like, I'd be able to see things differently sometimes. And I feel like 18 in 3 years, that's crazy. Like I said yesterday, I don't want to be growing because of the bills that y'all got to pay. It's craziness. And so I think that in a couple of years that, being with the older generation, being with the seasoned generation will help me be somewhere, help me get somewhere, and help me, be able to be stable. I'm just going to say that.
Really, really well said. I like that. go to some of these comments you have. Tamari,
Hi, hi,
hey,
Tamori.
Cheryl Davis. Davis says you're a remarkable young man, Kingston. I'm very proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Raven Poole says, so refreshing to see a young man walking in wisdom and staying true to himself. Hello. Right. Oh wait, no, that's a clapping sign. Shout out to you, Raven. Mr. James, Sergio James says, use your wisdom, curate other young leaders. Christ was wise at 15 too. Definitely continue to put God first because he gave you the gift, but the gift can also become a detriment.
You can't. I, Mr. James, he keep dropping these bombs. He keep just dropping them. That's a great comment, honestly. And I always try to help wherever I can. Wherever I can, I'm going to try to help. And that's why sometimes people could be going on a whole different path than I am, and sometimes I have to lead them. Or sometimes if they want the help, I'm going to help them. Like if somebody asks for help, I'm not going to say no. So it's like if you're like, hey Kingston, I really want to get closer to God. Can like what do you suggest or something like that? I'm gonna just give them suggestions of what I use to get closer to God. And it's not really easy at a young age to try to be close to God or try to get close to God because of the distractions and the stuff that's in the world. So you're trying to get closer to God, but at the same time you have distractions from people, from social media, from all of this, that sometimes it's really hard to get closer to God. And so I've always tried to be a helper. I've tried to help people if I can and when I can.
And I can actually admit to that because I see that at church every like on Sundays, Wednesdays, and you're just and even during the week you're going and volunteering at church after you get out of school. So it's like that is definitely a heart for God, a heart for people. Because someone can like you even volunteer to go pull out somebody's car and bring it to the front and
I
do
sure
it
will.
sometimes. So yes, he has a very big heart, and it definitely shows. It shows, and again, shout out to Sean and Michelle McLean,
100%.
um, because I mean, come on now, this is a product of just people parenting that they pour into him and they expose him to God and they expose him to just people and good people. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
And
I'm
also
proud.
thinking about also shout out to God too, 'cause,
Yeah,
you
shout
know,
out to God at all times,
all
because
times,
like
yeah,
throughout this podcast, we're gonna be shouting out God and shouting out Michelle and Sean McLean.
we are.
All right, so transitioning to another question. What's one thing you wish your parents or teachers understood better about your life right now?
That's a great question. Um, think on that one. What I think that they. Can you repeat the question again?
Okay. What is one thing you wish your parents or teachers understood better about your life right now?
That it's evolving. And that's why I said yesterday during altar call, I was like, parents, your old child, that's behind them now. Like that's behind them, and so, and that's because I want to just say that for myself, but one thing I really want them to know about me is that I don't learn as fast as others when it comes to certain things. So when it comes to math, I'm just not there right now. But when it comes to other situations, that I just learn differently with other things, and that's going to take me a while to not transform, but to evolve or to take a step up from where I was before to where they want me to be. And my parents have a high standard of where they want me to be, not because they want me to be perfect or anything, but it's just that they want me to be at because they don't want me to live right, and they want me to just like have a good how to say it, but they just want me to live right, and they want me to be able to go somewhere when I turn 18, to be able to go to college and get an apartment and have this and have that. And so when my parents value education, and that's one thing that they've always done is value education. Never wanted bad grades, never wanted missing assignments. So just that sometimes I learn differently with different things, and it might take a minute to learn something else or to move from one place to another place.
That's good. I'm glad you got to express that because that is gonna you experiencing that area. Older people experience that every day. So I think it's very, big of you just to share that and to be able to identify that you feel that or that is something that is a barrier. But yeah, kudos for you. I like that. We're gonna take a question from your sister. She says, "How do you try to live out your faith at school or with friends?"
Yeah, that's a great question, Tamori. And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes, you know, it may take a while. It may take a while for me to get comfortable enough to talk to God with you. And I know that I would say it shouldn't, but it may take me a while to just tell you that, like, oh yeah, like I'm not explaining it, but you know, at school I try to walk with scriptures, not walk with them, but like try to live in them, like peace and being able to not be arrogant, have wisdom, be humble, and not just be able to just be not be regular, but be regular. I mean, I'm always have to be, I'm at 100% with my faith at all times. God, all the way, 100%, all the way. I'm not saying I'm not at 100%, but I'm also saying that sometimes I don't lose my faith with God at all while I'm at school. And my faith is just one of the things that I've always been working on, and always have worked on. Growing up at Harvest Church, we had the faith confession that we said, So that's just, my faith has always been one of my biggest things, and so my faith has always been there. Always have faith in God, have faith in this, have faith in that. But living out my faith at school or with friends, it shouldn't be anything different. But it may be. But I try to keep that same faith that I have every single day, no matter where I'm at.
Do you well said. Do you feel like because let me say it this way. You started out at I think it was Faith Academy then or Christian Harvest Christian School. Do
It
you
was
feel that
Faith Academy, I think. It's Faith Academy back in the day.
but do you feel because the church you go to is also a school connected to it, which is Harvest Christian School now? Do you feel like that has played a huge role in your faith in God, in your continued faith in God, despite that you transition out of the school?
100%. And like I said yesterday, multiple times, Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go. When they're older, they should never depart from it. And I think that's what the Faith Academy did. And so I don't know if you know, but kindergarten, I had an accident in the gym. I know that's my parents took me out. My parents took me out and brought me back in 7th grade. I graduated, and so I think that has definitely helped my faith, helped keep my faith. And with my dad being the youth minister, he always tries to ask me questions. Always tries to he wants me to open up to him sometimes about certain things or certain situations. And I think that yes, Harvest Christian School and Harvest Church played a major role in my life, with coming to know God and having faith. And I just think that played a major role. And luckily, I was trained up, and luckily, I won't depart from it. I have no plans to depart from it at all either. So
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Mr. James has a few questions. Well, say, Miss Sarah, people will give you praise, but try to be around people who are going to keep it real with you instead of praise. Wisdom is theory. Life brings the experience. What are you creating for others?
I want others to be comfortable around me. I don't want anybody to be on edge. I want anybody to be I want to be a place to talk. And I should be like that helping hand, that shoulder to rest on. So I just want to try to create an atmosphere for others to be open, to be free, to just talk about whatever. And one thing my parents has always told me, or not always told me, but have started to tell me, is that just because they aren't just have the same beliefs or the same relationship with you as God, you can still talk to them. Because sometimes you can't just signal yourself out. Sometimes you can't just be like, oh yeah, you don't do this, I'm not going to talk to you because you do that. I'm going to see how we connect. And if it's a bad connection, it's a bad connection. Just like Wi-Fi, if it's a bad connection, I'm not going to stay connected. I'm going to just turn my Wi-Fi off and disconnect from what they're doing, or who they are. And so, and one thing my mom does, she's mad at you. She'll just cut you off. She'll stop texting you if you like. So, and that's kind of what I do. So, if if you don't want to be in the atmosphere that I'm creating for you to be open, or if you want to do this, you go your own way, I'm trying to help you, then I'm just going to cut you off necessarily.
Your mom, you said, I'll take my mama's advice. I'll cut you off.
Cut you off.
That's cute and that's funny. Cut you off in the name of Jesus.
Oh, cut you off.
So he also has another question. A statement. Also, don't feel like you always have to have the right answer because people are expecting you to shine. It's okay not to know, and that's where wisdom is created. Run your race, pace your growth.
That's so true. And one thing about me, you can ask Tamori. She's gonna say that I think I know everything, and sometimes I can say this for myself. Sometimes I do think I know everything, but at the same time, I know that I have to kind of.
Mama has entered the chat.
In the chat, but yeah. So and sometimes Miss Amy Anderson, Miss Anisha Merrill, they always say, yeah, Kingston, like we pull on you a lot, and we do this, and we call on you a lot, and so, my parents said, Kingston, you need to rest, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's like sometimes I do think that I need to shine. Sometimes I do think that they need me there, I need to be there. Like I started I kind of coached, I managed flag football for my school, and so I was in the Harvesters for 2 months, and they were saying like, oh yeah. We need you there, we need to do that, and I kind of realized that in some things I need to be there, some things I don't need to be there, and sometimes that I do need to, like you said, pace my own growth, and that's what I've been trying to do lately is just pace my own growth, pace, where I'm going, how I'm going to get there, and what my objective is, like I said yesterday, and how I'm going to get there.
Good. We keep saying yesterday. I'm going to within this podcast episode, I'm gonna drop the link so y'all can watch the sermon that he gave yesterday. Yes, the sermon. Karen Hannah says, we can see your faith in action. Keep up the good work. Rashana Freeman says, hey guys, your parents' role is to keep you grounded and grow at God's pace. So proud of you, Kingston. And your mom said, wow, LOL.
In the chat. She's in there.
All right, I'm going to transition into another question. What's the difference between hearing someone and truly listening to someone?
That's a great question. And honestly, sometimes I just listen to people and I truly hear them. Sometimes they could be talking about anything, and sometimes I kind of zone out sometimes. And sometimes it's hard for me to actually truly listen to somebody, honestly. And it's like sometimes I'll be somewhere and it's like an older person will come and say something to me, and like I'll be at work, and they'll just be like, they'll just start telling me, yeah, I can tell you're gonna go somewhere, I can tell you're gonna be somewhere. I just be like, yeah, I truly listen, but at the same time I listen, and I try to always truly listen, but sometimes it's really just hard for me to actually listen. And that's also, I think that's a problem, not a problem, but I should work on, is being able to truly listen.
So when you say
listen,
like you speak when someone's talking, or you're just eager to help them? Like when you say like you got to work on listening, like what does that mean? Like it's like when someone comes to you and they're sharing their feelings, or you're just like, okay, look, let me just say this and that, or is it that you're just not attentive enough?
I think it's kind of both. That I feel like sometimes I might rush a conversation so it could be over. I might say, oh yeah, have a good night, how you doing? Good. Yourself? Good. Okay, have a good day. Sometimes I might try to rush that conversation, and sometimes I just think that some people might just need someone to actually truly listen to, and that's what I try to be. But sometimes it's just really hard to listen to somebody talk for a while.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm smiling because you sound like your mom. Because your mom, she do that. She'd be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and speed up this conversation so we can be done. No,
I don't know about that. Sometimes no. if she's like a good conversation, she'll be talking with
Oh
you.
yeah. But when she ready to get it, she gonna let's wrap this up fast. She get it. I gotta go. I gotta get this. All right. I think you can definitely go.
She will.
For sure. Shout out to Michelle.
Right. That's number 4. But yeah, just listening, and that's a big thing that I can work on is actually listening. That's just a big thing. When we got our parents, I just listening is just a big thing I can work on, and following instruction too. Because somebody could tell me how to do something, I'm like, okay, yeah, I got it, and I was not listening that entire time. I'm not gonna do it. I messed it up. But really, just paying attention, focusing, and just attentively listening.
So, do you feel like people are listening to you, and if so, if they're not listening to you, how can they show up listening to you? What does that look like?
That's a great question. And sometimes, if someone listens to me, I will literally shut down. Like there'll be times my family, like they be having a conversation, I'll be trying to talk, and that can be going over me, and I just stop talking. I don't really know what I do. Sometimes I stop talking. Sometimes sometimes Tamori does, and she'll see me, and I just be like I've been trying to talk for 2 minutes, y'all keep going over me, and that it's not a good feeling at all when somebody's trying to talk to you without listening to you, and then to think that I've probably done that to somebody else, or they're trying to talk to me, and I just kind of zone out a little bit, or I kept trying to talk over them, but that's just.
So, what you're sharing, from what I'm hearing, is that you would rather not be talked over. You would rather be just, take the moment and say, "Hey, let's listen. Just hear what I have to say, and then we can all converse."
Yes, because it'll be a conversation. We're talking about something, or something we just on TikTok, some news, something like that. And so we're talking about it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I saw it too," but then they're so into talking about it. And I've stopped when I'm screaming over people. I've just stopped that. I've stopped screaming over people, and so they'll be talking loud, and I'm not gonna try to talk over them. And it's that's kind of what I mean.
That's good, because a lot of people in here, they do that. Rashana from she do that. So I was gonna throw that out there, hey.
Shots fired, Miss for me. Shots fired.
I'm talking. I'm trying to share my heart, and she'd be like, "Yeah, so let me share this with you." And I'd be like, "I was talking to you this whole while I was talking." But it's all love. It's all love.
It's all love, right? 100%.
Okay. Next question. Let's talk Gen Z. How do you think your generation communicates differently than, say, your parents' generation?
They don't. And most they don't. And I feel like communication is hard. I'm not gonna lie, communication, kind of communicating with somebody is hard. It's when we could be texting. I send you a text or sometimes, but I think that how they communicate now is different than how they communicated. Oh man, I don't want to say this. I shouldn't to call nobody old, but how they communicated a couple.
Let's say the season.
Okay. Yeah. About 30 years ago. Okay, I'm in 1990s. I think that's different how they communicated in the 1990s. I just said that, and that's just with the devices. Back in the day, y'all had pagers. Y'all had to pay. Okay, not y'all. They.
How old do you think your parents were born in, the 70s maybe, or 80s?
The 80s.
You said 90s.
They had pagers, right? Page. You have to page to call me. Call me on the phone us on the corner in an arcade. But I think that is just different communication now. And I feel like communication now is a big thing, because back then it was even a even bigger thing. But I feel like they really don't communicate as well, and especially coming from me, I don't communicate my feelings well at all. I don't one thing. I do not communicate my feelings. If somebody just said, how can I say? I don't know how to say it, but sometimes tomorrow, we'll be in the car, someone will say something, and she could tell if I'm irritated because I'll just stop talking. And I'll just shut down. If you make me mad, I'm just gonna shut down. And it's been to a point where I'm just gonna stop talking to you. I'm just gonna go to my room, honestly. So it's like it's just been a point in time where I like if you just made me mad, I'm just gonna stop talking to you. I'm like, you're about like Michelle McClain. She cuts him off. I'm just cut you off for a couple minutes, a couple of hours.
Did you just call your mama Michelle McClain?
I'm
Sorry. Y'all
how, how my
basis, Michelle.
okay how my mother does it. Okay, I'm using Michelle method. Okay, I'm gonna just cut you off. But honestly, but for real, that's and I feel like they try to but also that I don't communicate anything well either. I'm saying I'm a bad communicator, but I'm not also a great one. Like you can send me a text and I might see it, I might not see it. But you can send me a TikTok and I might see it, I might not see it. But it's just that I just don't think that I could be better at communication.
How do you communicate with your generation? Like when you're talking to your friends, would you say that's big effective communication?
I mean, I really don't even talk to my friends that much. Like, the only friend I really talk to is Caleb, and that's really it. But if I'm at school, like, hey, what's up? Quick dap up, and I'm going to class or something like that. But it's not really much of a communication, honestly.
That's understandable. And a lot of times, like with young men, y'all tend to just get, hey, how you doing? Like you said, and keep it pushing. So
Right.
I get that, but don't forget to express your feelings when you feel overwhelmed or, whatever you're feeling. Definitely have that safe space that say, tell your mom, your dad, your sister or something because mental health is important. So make sure you're communicating that.
And honestly, like, I think I'm more like a silent communicator. Like, I'm gonna give you like subtle signs. Like, my parents know if we're somewhere and I'm ready to go, let's go. Or just like, if I text them, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna like tap my phone, like, hey, check your phone. Like, I'm like a subtle communicator. So I'm like, we'll be in next, Harvest next on Sundays, and they'll get into a conversation, but it'll be going back and forth. Like, let's wrap this up. So I feel like I'm like a subtle communicator. When it comes to my feelings, I'm a silent communicator. If I'm angry, I'm hardly never angry, but I'm very what's the word? I'm easily irritated sometimes, and I could be irritating sometimes.
Irritable, yeah, I think
irritable. Thank you. There we go. I'm irritable sometimes, and so yes.
I mean, you were able to articulate your feelings now, and I think that's really great. Continue on that path and being self-aware, and be easy on yourself. But again, you're 15. You definitely had a time to iron that out. So I thank you for sharing that. Let's transition into another question. Do you think social media makes it easier or harder to be understood?
I think that is so much on social media that it might help to be understood, honestly. I think it might help. I think that, I don't know, the TikTok can have like a repost button. It's like things you like relate to. And so like, something about me, just check my repost. Like if you just want to know how I feel right now, just check my repost. But so I think that's how it is. I think that social media kind of does help with feelings sometimes. I think that it helps people be able to express their feelings in a way they shouldn't. Sometimes if I get irritated or something this one doesn't to me or I'm mad or something, I just go on TikTok, I'll post like a thought like I'm irritated right now. But it just kind of just helps, being able to just, put it out there and it's like, okay, it's off my chest, like put it out there. I think that kind of helps sometimes.
That's showing that I wouldn't say that people feel like there's a dependency on technology with Gen Z. But I feel like the advancements of technology and the usage that you all are using it for is beneficial, but also at the same time it can hinder in that communication piece because, like you said, you want the social media like, hey, this is how I feel, opposed to just really expressing yourself. I said you it sounds like you're a great communicator, but you would just rather have it on a different area or platform. So, Tusha.
I try to communicate as best as I can sometimes. Sometimes I just don't feel like communicating sometimes. So it gets hard to communicate sometimes. It's like, or I get overstimulated easily, like very easily. Like someone just keeps like keeps on my name, asking me to get stuff. I'm just I'm just gonna get really irritated. I'm not irritated, but I'm overstimulated, and so I get overstimulated easily too.
Same here. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. That being overstimulated is definitely a thing. So I'm glad that you shared that. Um, but I let me know if you don't understand this word that I'm about to say. But what is a stereotype about Gen Z that you think is totally wrong?
Man, that's the thing. I'm not really too clicked into with Gen Z. Like I said, I'm like an old man. Like all I can do trends. I don't catch on to those as quick. Like it'll be over by the time I'm like, oh, that was a trend. But is that a question again?
So what is a stereotype about Gen Z that you think is kind of true?
That I think is kind of true.
Mhm.
The phone thing. They're glued to their phones, but at the same time, it's not just Gen Z, it's everybody. But people kind of just force it on Gen Z or on younger people so much because like, oh yeah, they don't have anything else to do with their life. They don't get this all. They're always on their phones, always on this, always on that. But the same apps that we're on, y'all, the season or other generations are also on those same apps. So so it's like I know that like they're always on their phones. They're on their phones constantly all the time. But at the same time, I do think that we're all on our phones a lot, and so it's like that stereotype just being for Gen Z is kind of obnoxious. But kind of actually, but then at the same time, it's kind of true because we are. So I feel like we should just I hope we should just like stereotype everybody rather than Gen Z at the phone thing or technology.
Very well said. I agree with you. I agree. Everything's always placed into a certain generation, but in reality, you see some of the same behaviors in different generations: baby boomers, Gen X, millennials.
And it'd be the same people that saying that we're glued to our phones that are glued to their phones. It'd be the same ones. It'd be the same ones.
True. I agree. I do. I agree. I'm gonna shift over to some of these comments. Rashana Freeman says you are going to be great at math. You are putting in the work. Smiley face. Miss Cheryl Davis says, "Wow, yes, drop the link." Your mom says the Holy Spirit decides the pace. Ms. Davis says purpose driven. Rashana says, "Hey now, no firing the shots."
So I think she was talking about I think it was last the confidence for you. He was talking about he was trying shots at her.
Oh, we want to ignore that one and transition into this. I love you, mom. Um, okay, so this question is: think about a time you used your voice to make a difference, even a small one. What happened?
And yesterday. But I really didn't think that my sermon or everything or my sermon was gonna impact those many people the way it did. Um and so and people talk about purpose a lot so much that I didn't think it was gonna impact as many people as it did. And so um I was very surprised to see the outcome of what happened yesterday. Really surprised. And so that's why I kept pausing a lot of it. That was, especially during the altar call and all the youth, all the parents and so all the comments I got after it was over. So I just think that, that was the link, huh? So I just think that, that was the time I could use my voice. That's the time that, I think my voice was really important in that time, in that moment. Um, but there's multiple times I use my voice to help others. And sometimes it may small, big or small, I really don't know. But that's just like the most recent one I can think of. And and sometimes some people can't, some people can't self advocate, and I'm one of those people. But one thing I could do is I could advocate for somebody else. I might not be advocate for myself. One thing I do, I can advocate for somebody else. I'm like, hey, they didn't like that, or what you call mediator. I can be a mediator, but that's just how I use my voice to help others.
Okay, well said. I'm gonna ask this question: like, where do you find the confidence? How did you find the confidence aside from God? God driven, to get up on that stage and get that sermon.
it was God. Like it was really no way. It was really no else way I could do it without God. And it was like Joshua 1:9 that carried not only that carried me, but that carried me through the whole time. And Jeremiah 29:11, those two really carried me through. For the plans, be strong and courageous. So without God, I wasn't gonna do it. My parents and how my parents was talking about it so much, especially when we went back, they made it seem, they made it seem like it was gonna be so hard. They made it seem like they made it seem like I was about to be up here like sweating, my knees gonna be quivering or something. And my parents really did help me. Tamora, she helped me. Tamora, one thing I was thankful was getting mic'd up. Honestly, was getting mic'd up. Really, but that kind of helped me get through it. That kind of helped me know, I'm about to get mic'd up. So, the steps that we're taking to get there, that really helped me. Knowing that I was gonna impact somebody's life today. Knowing that, it could be the day that somebody chooses to give their life to Christ today. So so knowing that other people were going to benefit from what I was saying really helped me get up there and do it.
Okay. All right. Nice. Because a lot of people get up there and on any platform and they're nervous. With even speaking, you're 15, you're able to say, is that your first time being up there?
It is not very, yeah, that's my first time.
Well, I'm saying like first time giving that sermon.
Yes,
within a sermon period.
First time giving a sermon period. I think. Yes.
Mind blowing. You're doing things that people don't even know how to do. My age or younger or older. So you're influencing the older generation and all generations and all people. So
yeah, that's Mr. Elmore also said the same thing a couple of weeks ago. He was like, you're not just impacting your generation younger than you, but people that are older are also looking up to you. And so like that, yeah, I've carried that with me too, as and public speaking, that's always been hard for me because of my stutter. And because of the study, public speaking has always been slow down or do this or do that. So public speaking has always been hard for me, but then I've never really been nervous to public speak. I may be nervous when I first find out, but then matter of fact, when I first found out, I wasn't even nervous. I was cool. But then until I went to the back, 20 minutes before, 15 minutes before service started, we went to the back. That's when the nerves really started to kick in. And think about it, I was supposed to be praise and worship yesterday too, but I had other plans. But I feel like the nerves really don't kick in until it's almost time to do it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the nerves really don't kick in until it's time to to do what I have to do.
I've heard like some of the best speakers, they still get nervous. So there's no such thing as getting up there and people just like, I got this. They still feel nervous.
If Patrick says he sees if you're not nervous, then he says something about if you're not nervous, then something. I just forgot, but he says if you're not nervous, then something's not right. He said something like that. But yeah, I said something like that.
Not. I feel like with just to speak a little bit about you say you have a stutter. You've done really well answering questions on the podcast and just I could not tell. So I think it's a sense of comfortability for you. Even yesterday with the sermon, I'm steady going back to that because again, you articulated yourself well, but even in that, no stutter.
And it's like, thank you. And I know, and it's like sometimes I know the words I'm going to stutter with. And I was reading over my sermon, Sunday morning. I was reading over. I knew some words and I was going to stutter over. But then my dad said, he was like, you get up there, you can't read that word for word, right? I'm like, yeah, no, I know. But then I got up there, I was like, I'm kind of reading word for word. And so, but I feel like that, not reading word for word helped me not stuttering. But being able to be transparent, or just sense of off the dome or from what God is telling me to say really helped with me not being able to stutter.
Brilliant. Wow. What's your advice for someone who feels that their voice isn't being heard?
Is it being heard?
It's not being heard.
It's a great question. Because that's how I felt a long time ago. But my voice wasn't being heard at all. start what you're comfortable with. And Miss Nikisha, the youth praise team, I was not comfortable with singing at all. I cannot sing at all. And so that's when public speaking really became a big thing for me. Was I would just have to, I would exhort on the songs. And so that's when my public speaking started. But for someone for their voices being heard, I really don't know what to say, honestly, because sometimes I feel my voice isn't being heard still. Sometimes I feel like that, it's hard for my voice to be heard. But I would say start with you're comfortable with. Start with, and I was not as comfortable with the Word of God 5 years ago as much as I am now. Back then, I would struggle with saying something that was not of God. I was not out the Bible. I would struggle with saying something that I was going to say something crazy like, what? Why did you say that? Or you didn't have to say that. But but now in times, I think that if we want your voice to be heard, you just define what you're comfortable with, and whether that's vlogging, whether that's I try to vlog, and I vlog once in a while. I never just put the time in to edit it, but whether you have to find what you're comfortable with, and whether that's what you're comfortable with, and I've been playing the drums for 13 years, so that's playing the drums. So that's what I'm comfortable with. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I used to expect myself sometimes. But you have to just find what they're comfortable with. That's what I would say.
Very well said. What is it? What is it that you're wanting the, anybody, even the generation or your parents or anything? What is it something that are things you're wanting them to understand, or about you, or just your generation, or just in general, that you would like to relay here, so parents, that are watching can, better assist their children?
Parents, your kids aren't perfect, and 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 parents want their kids to be held at a high standard, but sometimes your kids get stuck, or your kid gets, they get stuck, they get trapped, or they feel like they're stuck, or feel like they're trapped, or feel like they're overwhelmed because they're trying to meet such the higher standard that you have set for them. They're like, oh, my parents are gonna get mad because I did this, right? Because this happened with the score, because I have a B minus. Kids like my mom's gonna be upset because I have a B minus. I'm like, what? Upset? My mom would be happy. So it's like parents have to realize that holding your child at a higher standard is actually not helping them sometimes. It's actually making them feel less self-aware, self-confident. Not that's the higher standard is just might be holding them back.
It's good. It's good. Do you feel like you're under pressure a lot of times?
Sometimes, especially at Harvest Church, I feel like I'm under the most pressure, and because that's just because not what I do, but leading praise worship, giving a sermon. That means people are going to be watching me now. So they're watching how I operate, how I speak, how I talk, how I walk, how I do this, how I do that, how. So I just think that it's gonna be. I feel like yes, yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'll leave it at that. I won't dig into that. I'll just transition. I have 3 more questions for you before we wrap up. If you could give one piece of advice to your 10-year-old self, what would you say?
My 10-year-old self.
Any age at this point. Any age under 19.
Don't do it. Avoid them. Avoid that. Avoid it. Don't do it. It's just so much I could tell my children. Do it. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be nervous. And it's like I've just put down so much. I've said no. But also I said no to so many things that could possibly help me. Pay attention in class or do this. I just did so much that could possibly help me. Now I did so much that's not helping me. I stopped myself 5 years ago, and it's impacting me now. It's like the back of it's like I don't know how to put it. It's like I did something 5 years ago, and now it's starting to catch up with me.
No,
That's what it is. I stopped paying attention to class and I was catching up with me. That's what it is.
that's big of you to share. I definitely like, wow. Wow. A lot of people can't even identify when their mistakes or what they've done has cost them, certain things.
And,
They just
and, and that's and
use it.
that's and that's also hard for me. It's accountability. Um, Taking accountability for my actions, for what I did, for what I said. That's also myself too. Be accountable. Be accountable.
Okay. I like that. What are your hopes of, maybe a year or maybe a couple months from now, looking back on this episode that you feel like you may take away from this
Take it from the episode.
episode? Mhm.
You said some goals, some hopes.
Well, I mean, like anything. Like, what would you think that yourself a year or so from now can look back and reflect and see some, what do you think that would be?
But I say stuff, and it's like I could be like saying, I could be saying stuff to myself or saying stuff to people. And it's like sometimes I need to take my own advice. Like that. Sometimes like you're so into helping other people that you need to help yourself. And I think that's what happens sometimes is that like sometimes I just don't want to brush off my feelings by doing work, by helping somebody doing this. And so and that's one thing that really kind of upset my parents last summer. Not last summer, but last summer, not this summer, but last summer, was that I would want to go to the church and do stuff and clean up there, but wouldn't do it at home. Or, I wanted to go, be at the church all day, but I couldn't, keep my room cleaner, take the trash out. I couldn't do stuff at home, but I could go do it at the church. And so that's one thing. I was taking accountability for my actions, and being able to take my own advice and take what I'm saying and kind of use it in my own life. Um, apply what I'm teaching. Or what I'm not teaching what I'm saying. Apply what I'm saying to other people with my own actions, with myself.
Wow. That's deep. That is really deep. Wow. So what would you say to a child that is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, your age range, that they're, a person very involved in the church, just like giving sermons and stuff like you do, and just, you know, they are you. Basically, you see yourself in them. What is some advice you would give them?
That's a great question. And some advice I think I would give them would just be help yourself. But don't be selfish. But help yourself. If you're, and I think that's one thing that I've always struggled with was if I've needed help, I never asked for it. I never I just kind of just stayed quiet. I've never been one to ask for help, and still now sometimes it's still hard to ask for help, and so or be vulnerable, but being vulnerable. That's just something I always have to work on. Being vulnerable. Being able to be as Joseph Webb said on the men's conference, be a coachable player. Be able to take corrections. Stuff like that. And as I'm saying all this on the podcast, I can just imagine Tori being you remember on the podcast, you need impact, and that's what Tamori has always done. She's always been the person to tell me hey, Bubby, this is because she called me Bubby. She's been, hey, Bubby, remember what you said the other day? You need to impact it into your own life. You need to bring it to take accountability. And she's always helped me with taking accountability for my actions. And me and Tamori, we can get to an argument. We can get to an argument at 6:57 and be back laughing at 7:00. Because just that sometimes that as much as we may argue, but she's still the person that's always helped me, made me accountable for my actions. Tell me that hey, I need to stop. She's always that person that be able to help me be able to make a sacrifice for me. And
Shout out to Big Sis.
shout out to Big Sis.
Sorry. Wow. 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 Thank you for sharing that. Before I ask this last question in closing, is there anything that you would like to share? I'd like to give you the floor to share anything that I have not gave you the opportunity to share, or whatever God has on your heart.
Really, like it's really from everything from yesterday. Really, like you have a kingdom cause, and that's just the biggest thing that I've you know learned. That's the biggest thing that as I was writing my sermon, I was just kind of thinking to myself that yes, you have a kingdom cause, and as many times as I said it yesterday, it wasn't in my notes to be said that many times, but I was saying it as I was saying. I realized that you have a purpose, and I think purpose is such like the word that I did it on purpose, but cause is just a different word.
Mm.
Cause is just a different word, but you have a kingdom cause, like cause and effect. So that's just where I've come from with that, is that everybody has a kingdom cause, and sometimes that it may not seem like it, but you have one. It may not seem like you're gonna go somewhere, but you are. It may seem like you're gonna be stuck somewhere, but you're not. You know, but that's just really what it is a kingdom cause, and that's just what I've learned and what I found out over these past couple of days, is that it's just a kingdom cause.
Wow. You keep me smiling. You always do. 'Cause I'm always telling your mom and your dad and your sister. I'm like this old man right here. Wow. Way beyond your years. Way beyond your years.
And I think that's why I got the name Unc at school. But then I told Tamori that, and she said, "Well, Bubby, do you want to be called Unc as a sophomore?" I'm like, I think that kind of holds like some status, like holds like some wisdom. I ain't call nobody Unc unless they give me some wisdom. So, I'll take it.
It's gonna make great conversation in your high school reunion. Hey,
It is.
so hey, Tamari was checking in. And, hey, they calling you aunt. Are you okay with that? She was just big sister doing her job as a big sister.
Right, right.
All right. Transitioning to this last question. To close, what's one hope you have for your generation's voice in the future?
Voicing to just do it, and don't be afraid of what people are gonna say about what you're doing. Um, to just don't limit yourself. Like I said yesterday, don't suppress your gift. Like like God gave it to you for a reason, so why not use it? So it's just like this podcast is like part two. Like I feel like just part two of yesterday, just bringing up some things from yesterday. It's like a post game interview kind of type thing from yesterday. But that's what it is. It's don't suppress your gift. Don't suppress what God has given you. And I feel like my generation and they aren't, and that's one thing. So some people might be, but it's like you have a dream, you have aspirations, you have this, you have that. What's going to put those into effect? Because you have an objective, and what are you taking to get to that objective? So that's just one thing. That is just just don't be afraid. Be able and find someone to talk to. Have someone you can talk to. That's one thing. Whether it's a friend, whether it's have someone you can talk to about something, about anything.
It just put on my heart to ask this. What is your favorite scripture?
Man, as I've been reading more and more these last couple of days, a lot of scriptures have just came across. Romans 8:28 from yesterday. A lot of the scriptures I used yesterday have really been dawned on to me. And recently it's been Luke 10:2, our foundational scripture, Harvest Church, but just being fishers of men and being able to have to go out there and get them and bring them into the kingdom, because that's just the big thing. And so Luke 10:2, Romans 8:28, Ephesians 2:10, Proverbs, not Proverbs, Psalm 91. I've been reading that a lot lately about the protection, because what's going on around is crazy. But Psalm 91 is a big one that I've been reading a lot, almost every day, honestly. Um, a lot. It's really been a lot of it, honestly. It's really been a lot of it. Um,
Those scriptures, thank you for sharing that. Those scriptures that he shared, I don't believe he shared that for no reason at all. Um, you're watching, write those down, go read those, because we don't know what God is saying to us. Let's keep Kingston in prayer, just to continue to allow God to use him, to cover him in this school year, and just to see that his parents are blessings to him, and he was a gift given to them by God, and they are gifts given to him as well. So thank you. So
Of
I'm gonna
course, you know.
transition. Yeah. Sorry. Did you want to share?
I was saying that if, it feels great. I feel like that was the reason why you waited till like August. I feel like it was or September. I feel like it was really a reason that God like had you wait, and I feel like that. I think that it was really just like yesterday's recap, honestly. Your voice, and I feel like, and it's at the time I was preaching, and then I saw the last week I saw like the slide, today's slide. I saw like, yep, I know. I was like, me preaching gonna
Oh,
get
you
brought
saw
up
the
a lot.
flyer. Yeah.
So I knew that it was gonna brought up a lot. So I feel like that, there's a time and a place for everything. I feel like this is the right time and the right place, for somebody, for someone, for this interaction to happen.
I love that. Thank you. That's always confirmation when the topic itself resonates with the individual. It just continues to, let me know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but also, God is still in it. He's gonna always be in it. And it lets people know that this is a God-led podcast, but sometimes it'll get real, or too real or
100%.
whatever. But wow. You'll be an amazing guest. I'm gonna do my outro, and then I'm gonna play my music. You can stay on if you want to and do a little jig or whatever, but I'm gonna get into this outro. So, all right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Kingston, for joining me and for your
Of course.
incredible insight. My voice on the topic, my voice, my power, understanding versus being understood. It was truly a powerful conversation, and your perspective on Gen Z is exactly what we needed to hear. To all our listeners, remember your voice has power. Join me next week on Prosperity Podcast for another empowering conversation. Same time, same place. Until then, please go like and subscribe to Prosperity Podcast on YouTube. And remember, mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Bye.
In the shadows we find our light. Through the struggles we will take flight. Healing hearts and mending minds. Together we'll leave the past behind.